Good evening. Look, I've already eaten half my dinner here, but I was so lazy tonight, I didn't really feel like doing the video. But naturally, because I didn't tape it, this is one of the most delicious dinners I've had lately. Oh, so good. So I just want to show you what I made because, it came out so good. The first thing is that meat, which is called slow roasted short ribs. I copied that recipe off of the Cook's Illustrated on the public broadcasting system. It's episode, season 17, let me start over. Season 17, episode 10 of Cook's Country, called Slow Roasted Short Ribs. And I just sort of wrote it down real quick. You start out with he started out with 2 pounds of short ribs, but he had to cut off the silver, skin thing and some fat. And I bought them, they were nicely trimmed. So I got more like 1.5 pounds. That's what you're aiming for, 1.5 pounds of short ribs. This is not cooked like normal short ribs. You cook it in an oven. Anyway, I'll show you. And then you take a tablespoon of kosher salt and a tablespoon of pepper, and you rub it all over the meat. And then you stick it in the refrigerator for 2 to 24 hours. I would say I had mine in the refrigerator for about 5 hours. And then you put it on like a baking rack in a baking sheet at 275. Had the sauce and the butter was all made a big mess. You'll see that on my paper. Anyway, so you bake your meat or roast it for 50 to 60 minutes. You want the internal temperature when you stick it in the meat to be 135 to 140. I'm going to say I checked mine at about 48 minutes, and they were right. They were perfect. I took them out. And then, because they don't look so pretty when you take them out because they were just roasting at a low temperature oven, you sear them, it's called reverse sear, in a tablespoon of vegetable oil just for a minute or 2 on each side, or till it's nice and brown is what I went for. And then you just sort of let it rest for a few minutes. In the meantime, you can make it whenever you want. I did it before, but you make a sauce for it with 8 tablespoons of butter, which you brown in a little saucepan, or not too small or the butter goes all over the place. Let me warn you, don't get too small or the butter kind of made a mess. And then you throw in there, after your butter is nicely browned, it took a lot longer than 3 to 5 minutes, I would say. I probably took mine at least 10 minutes. But browning butter. Anyway, then you add 2 tablespoons of minced shallot and 1 teaspoon of minced garlic. And you just cook that for, 30 seconds or so. And then here's the sauce that I'd already mixed together, and it goes in there. 1/4 cup of Worcestershire sauce, 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of packed brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and 2 teaspoons of black pepper. And after you saute your shallot and garlic, you put that mixture in. And you don't really need to cook it, I don't think. You just want to whisk it into there. I reheated it before we served it. I did find it was hard I had to use a spoon because otherwise my shallots and my garlic were kind of on the bottom. But, oh boy, is that good. And look at the color of that. And then I very, very thinly sliced the short ribs. Look at the color on that. It's a lot more like eating, let's say, I would compare it to flank steak. It's what I would call chewy but tender. I really like the texture. If you're aiming for something super soft, this is chewier than that. And there is this other dish behind there, which I'm going to show you. It's out of a Cook's Illustrated that I just got. And the date on it is, September, October already. Anyway, it was an article about making dishes with shelf-stable gnocchi. And I had to buy a little extra. I didn't quite have enough, but oh my heavens, it is fantastic. Now, the one I've made is called Crispy Pan-Fried Gnocchi with cherry tomatoes, zucchini, and feta. Now, this article, though, has 2 more recipes with this gnocchi. This one's called Crispy Pan-Fried Gnocchi with buttery onions and sauerkraut. I'm a huge fan of sauerkraut. I'm going to try this. I'm also a very huge fan of gnocchi. And this is good. I like homemade better, a lot better. The other recipe is called, let's see, crispy pan-fried gnocchi with, oh, I would never make this, spicy cumin, lamb, and celery. I don't like lamb, but you can make it with whatever you like. And if you like lamb, I'm sure it's fabulous. Okay? You could make it with ground beef if you wanted. Let me read you this recipe real quick. 1 pound of shelf-stable gnocchi, which if you don't know, it's like a dumpling you make out of flour and mashed potatoes. Not too much, and some eggs, if I'm pretty sure that's pretty correct. Some salt, probably. Anyway, a small onion sliced, and 6 garlic cloves minced, pound of cherry tomatoes, 8 ounces of zucchini that you quarter and slice 1/2 inch thick, 1 green pepper cut into 1-inch pieces, table salt, 1.5 teaspoons of table salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper, a teaspoon of dried oregano, and feta cheese. It calls for either fresh mint or basil, and I have plenty of basil here, so that's what we had on ours. You crisp up the gnocchi in oil at the beginning. Oh my heavens, I may never cook gnocchi any different way than this. At least these kind of shelf-stable gnocchi. Boy, they're crunchy, they're perfect. So that's it right there. I just wanted to say, what a good dinner. We just had some old leftover bread, so we're just soaking it up with that beautiful sauce that was on the meat. The one that had the butter, brown butter, shallot, garlic, Worcestershire, red wine vinegar, soy sauce, packed brown sugar, Dijon, and pepper. Oh, that's a good sauce for any kind of meat, or I don't know. Mike, look at Mike. He's made a pretty good dent on his plate, and he has a little hard time with the meat, but still, it's tender. I cut it up. Is it any easier for you?
It is a bit easier, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's chewy, but tender. So I'm going to finish my dinner here, and I just wanted to say, try this dinner. Because, you know, I go out of my way to try to put together something different all the time. Of course, both of these are new recipes I'd never made. And for dessert, we're going to have my leftover from last night, plum galette. So, that's all I have to say tonight. Try those 2 recipes. One, like I said, was from Cook's Country, and the other one is from, that's a TV show. The other is called Cooks Illustrated, and that's a magazine. All right. Well, have a good weekend. Bye.